A quick case study. How much time have we got?
About 5 minutes.
Sorry?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay. A quick case study. I thought I'd just do one case study. We worked with a large publishing company in New York in the UK, and there was a team of senior sales managers, so they ran all the sales teams for the whole company. But they were having some difficulty working together. There were clashes of style, there were clashes of ideas, there were different ways of doing things, different ways of communicating. And all of this was having an effect on motivation in the individual teams, and obviously an effect on profitability. We'd already worked with the sort of individual sales teams themselves on things like presentation skills and communication skills, so they already had an insight into what we do, so they were quite willing to take us on. A lot of the conflict, I won't get to that bit. The mode of delivery was basically the same. It was 1 hour a week for 10 weeks, and it was quite an achievement to actually get all of these senior people into one room every week for 1 hour with their sort of busy schedules. But there was a little bit of commitment from their side. And I would say that the effectiveness of what we do, it does demand, one, a commitment from the company itself. We don't just go in and just do it for them. They've got to sort of meet us halfway. But also, they've got to raise their game a little bit in terms of what they're willing to accept is, they've got to, it's not we're going to come and spoon feed them, they've got to actually do some work when they come. It's very important. Again, a lot of what we did was these sort of pair exercises. Some was some group work. We did a little bit of sort of, Tai Chi forms and things with them for various things, but a lot of it was these pair work and these sort of kinesthetic experiences. A lot of the conflict between members of the team was to do with entrenched views on what was expressed at the time as the right thing to do in a given situation. So it could be the right way to manage your team, or it could be the right way to plan workloads, targets, the right way to communicate. This was the sort of key area where things were going wrong. The exercise, it's important that the exercises are new to everybody. Nobody has ever done any of this sort of thing before in the group, so there's a level playing field. It's also very important that the exercises themselves are actually interesting. It sounds a bit daft to say, but because they are quite interesting, then it's very important. It's very important that those things happen. And the reason why they are, I would suggest, interesting, is they're not just corporate games or things to illustrate a point. They have a great deal of depth. There's a lot in that exercise that we're not looking at. We don't have the time. There's a huge amount of information and wisdom in that exercise, which we can bring out. You could do that exercise all day. It get very boring, but you could extract different aspects and look at different things. So it's a rich area. Okay. Quickly, the sort of three aspects, I guess, that we looked at, particularly with this in this particular case, with these three things, which I'll sort of go into. We also use a little bit of the 36 stratagems. So we use some of the 36 stratagems to illustrate some of the points and how they can be sort of used in a real world situation in terms of business as well. The timing bit is, again, the understanding that there is there's a right time to do something, and if action is taken at the wrong time, it's counterproductive. In terms of leisure, we have another phrase which is called wait and wait and wait and wait and go. So there's the skill of actually waiting for the right time and not trying to do it right at the beginning because it won't work. There's a sort of a sense that is the case, and everybody's got that sort of innate sense that is the case. But what leisure does is it gives it some substance. A lot of the time people have what you call, say, gut reaction to something, but it can often have an emotional component to it, which isn't really what we're talking about. We're talking about like knowing when the right time is to do something, and there are a lot of exercises we have that teach that skill. A lot of the training we do focuses on following, on learning to follow, and again through a physical exercise you learn the feeling of what that means. But we take that then further. We look at identifying when the other person takes over. So you get a physical feeling of when the person that's leading changes. And sometimes that happens, and you can train somebody to take control of a situation without the people realising they're taking control of the situation, which is quite nice. And the other thing is you can give control away. So through those things we give people those types of skills, and it's a lot to do with softness. So that if you're trying to do something where you don't give the game away, it's how you do it in a sort of soft way. It's like how the way water moves, and the softness of the way you do something. So it's
okay. You just try to.
The last thing, the don't be the rock. That's that's sort of related to communication. And what I would say is, as you're, I'm sure, very well aware, the Taoist concept of water flows around the rock and carries on its way. But a lot of the time, people are the rock, so they've got to sort of recognise that that's the way they are, and the problem is they are the rock. A lot of exercise we do are around that and about learning how to be soft and be more effective. Much like part of what we just did in that exercise as well. The ability to soften the body and hence the thoughts and let go of hard and fast ways of thinking and doing things has a major effect on how people communicate to others. It's possible to train these sort of flexibility exercises in a very short space of time. The end results of this particular intervention, it worked really, really well, really, really well. The block situation was resolved, the team working, the communication, the leadership roles were greatly improved. They had a sort of little paradigm shift in terms of their way of seeing everything. We provided some further coaching, some of it was telephone, some of it was face-to-face, to sort of embed the concepts a little bit further. And the year-end results showed an improvement in performance of over 15% on the previous period. So the sort of bottom line figures were good in terms of business, and then referring to the people that actually saved them some money, made them some more money. We did an independent impact assessment, which I don't really think I've got time to go into now. There's some interesting stuff we've been doing recently, which I'll just cover really, really quickly, which are to do with these three concepts. So yin-yang polarity, wu-wei, go with grain, wu-chang, nothing is constant. The yin-yang polarity is generally to do with the opinion that something is either good or bad. And what's really interesting is the grey area in between.
1 minute.
1 minute. What's interesting is the grey area in between. It's the difference between certainty and possibility. Very, very important thing. In terms of lateral thinking as well, that comes in, what is certain, I know this to be the case, therefore there's no other possibility. Wu-wei, generally one of the concepts we'll track is yielding. In Western business, yielding is equated with weakness and overcoming adversity with strength. And again in that exercise we did, it seems to be the opposite way around, so how do you apply that? Nothing is, Wu-chang, nothing is constant, things work in cycles, the Taoist idea about time, cause and effect, time is more like a wave rather than a linear sort of thing. And in conclusion, I think what we do, I've never seen anybody do this type of thing, so it is quite innovative. One of the difficulties sometimes actually explaining it to a business person. A lot of this type of work we get comes from referral, so we work with the company, they go, wow, this is amazing, you guys need to do this as well. And part of what it does is it takes Taoist theory and it sort of demystifies it for the Western mind. It gives them an inroad into this whole rich world, the way that Taoist explains it. And in a way that makes it commercially viable as well. We have to do this, otherwise we won't make any money at it. But the effects on the companies are quite profound as well, the shift. And I would say, there's the financial thing, but the actual thing of making people happier and more relaxed and more is a huge thing. And in a sense, that's really why I do it, rather than purely the business type of thing. So, I'm done.
Thanks.